Religious oppression was a big reason many of our ancestors came to America. The King of England wanted everyone to worship his way. In Ireland, Catholics weren't allowed to own guns or vote. When America's founders wrote the Bill of Rights, they were quick to protect religious freedom. I think of the First Amendment as protecting free speech, but the amendment begins. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting free exercise thereof. Free speech comes after that. So religious freedom has been a big deal in this country, and yet, as our government grows and extends its tentacles into every cranny of life, government has increasingly infringed on some people's religious choices. In Oregon, 2 American Indians were denied unemployment benefits because they had been fired for using peyote. They sued, saying, eating peyote is part of my religion. That went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, which basically said, too bad, drug laws apply to everybody. So Congress then passed, and President Bill Clinton signed, RFRA, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. It says government shall not substantially burden a person's exercise of religion unless there's a compelling governmental interest. Many state legislatures have passed their own versions of that, but when Indiana passed one recently, well, you know what happened then.
They are justifying discrimination.
We ought to sue the hell out of these people.
This law is brutal, it's unfair, it's unjust, and it has to change.
Some Democratic politicians banned state-funded travel to Indiana. Musicians canceled appearances. Wilco called Indiana's law thinly disguised legal discrimination. Some corporations trashed Indiana. The president of Marriott Hotels called the law pure idiocy. Boy, how quickly things change. Remember, a Democratic president, Bill Clinton, signed RFRA. Now that same law is in a Republican state. That's evil discrimination. Just 7 years ago, Barack Obama, both Clintons, and most every other Democrat and Republican opposed gay marriage. Today, if you don't actively support gay marriage by catering a gay wedding or baking the wedding cake, you're a horrible Republican bigot? Crazy. But let's leave the political hypocrisy aside for a moment. At the center of the controversy is the question: if you think gay marriage is wrong and you run, say, a catering business, must you cater the gay wedding? No, says Christina Arriaga of the Beckett Fund for Religious Liberty. Yes, says Reverend Barry Lynn of Americans United for Separation of Church and State. You must cater the wedding? Why?
Yeah, you must cater it because public accommodations laws are designed to be a compelling government interest. That is to say, we have given up on race discrimination largely as a culture. We've given up on gender discrimination, but we haven't given up on discrimination against the gay and lesbian community. And if somebody wants to pass a law that this is what the government believes is right, then it trumps the claims of somebody who won't cater pizza to a wedding.
That's an absurd claim. Religious liberty is the ability to search for the truth and to follow one's conscience, and whether that path takes you to organized religion or no religion at all, it should be free of government coercion. A gay photographer should not be coerced by the government or anyone else to photograph or participate in a ceremony at the famously homophobic Westboro Baptist Church. A Christian caterer who believes that a marriage should be between a man and a woman should not be forced to participate in a same-sex wedding.
You know, this idea of participating in a wedding. I do weddings, did several this past summer. A participant in a wedding.
I mean, you're a reverend who presides
and I
over
do them.
So you would do a Ku Klux Klan wedding, a Nazi wedding?
No, but I don't have to, because one of the things...
Oh.
No,
You're special?
John. No. All ministers, all priests, all rabbis, all imams can make a choice not to do even something like a mixed religion.
Why can't the pizza seller?
Because a pizza seller is not in the business of providing a religious service.
If people want to live in a place where the government tells you what to do, go to my native Cuba. Monolithic view, you will have no issues. But the fact is that we have a long, long tradition of being able to live according to our deeply held convictions at work and at home.
Yes, and Barry, you are the totalitarian left.
What matters to me is that there is this fully blown, totally justified effort to stamp out discrimination against people who have what are called immutable characteristics. They can't change.
Wiping out the rights of religious people to get sexual minorities more rights. It doesn't work out. It doesn't. What RFRA provided was a balancing test. What RFRA gives these individuals, both of them, is a day in court.
But a day in court isn't even a good answer. That means everybody has to lawyer up and wait years for it to be resolved. What about just having private life? You can do what you want, as long as you don't physically assault a gay person.
And in the last 22 years, there hasn't been one single case when a restaurant owner said, I will not serve you because you're gay. There hasn't been one single exemption
Really?
granted.
Not one?
Not one single case where they won in court.
The reason I supported the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, and Ted Kennedy did, and a lot of other people did, nobody thought that it applied to for-profit corporations. The Supreme Court, by 5-4 decision, says it does. And also, nobody thought that it...
What's wrong with for-profit corporations? Are they bad?
No. And they might even be people in some circumstances, but they don't practice religion. Hobby Lobby, the big case from the past summer, these people make do-it-yourself flamingos and garden gnomes.
That is so offensive. Good grief, garden gnomes?
No,
This is the Green family. The Green family started their business out of their garage with a $600 loan. They have 26,000 employees.
Let me explain that to the audience in case they're not on top of Hobby Lobby. Obamacare does demand that businesses pay for their workers birth control pills and morning after pills. This one small company, Hobby Lobby, sued the government saying we shouldn't be forced to pay for what we consider immoral. Last year, the Supreme Court agreed, ruled that Hobby Lobby and other small, privately held faith-based corporations could get exemptions from that part of Obamacare. So, Christina, congratulations. Beckett won that case. But it's pathetic. They have to go to court each time, beg for an exemption, and bigger groups like Notre Dame, they're too big to be exempt.
Well, worse than that, the government exempted millions of Americans from having to comply with this law because of commercial reasons or secular reasons or because they were friends of the government. But they refused to exempt the Green family, and worse than that, they refused to exempt the Little Sisters of the Poor.
You asked at the beginning of the program, what's the change? Is there political hypocrisy here? And my answer is no, because nobody believed that these for-profit companies, in fact, could exercise religion. Maybe a church could. There were examples of that during the whole debate over RFRA, but not a big company. If Ted Kennedy, for example, had heard that this was intended to deprive women because of some kind of idiosyncratic view of what these contraceptives do.
What do you mean deprive women?
Because it's very expensive to get.
Oh, come on.
No. No, John.
$9 at Walmart.
$9 at Walmart.
So in your world, if government doesn't pay for it, it's like.
No, in my world, you should have a choice, and you should have that government have that. If it provides health care, it can provide that, or
somebody else has to pay for your health care. You can't spend your own $9. You on the left use the word deprive. Keep women from getting their.
Yes, absolutely. Because it does have that effect. $9 may not be much to any of the people here, but it does make a big difference.
You don't even have to spend the $9. You can go to a Planned Parenthood clinic and get those same contraceptives for free.
But Barry, what about the moral issue? They consider this murder. They have to pay for murder?
No, but I'll tell you this, John. I'm old enough to have been through the Vietnam period. There were conscientious objectors. Not too many. But you had to write a virtual treatise on why you opposed war in any form in order to get that exemption.
You defended those people. They considered the Vietnam War murder.
And I understand that people in the Right to Life movement can and do believe performing an abortion is murder. But now we're supposed to believe that against those two claims comes somebody who won't deliver pizza to your wedding.
Thank you, Barry. Christina, stay with us because we're going to meet another person that Beckett is defending. But first, let me give my 2 cents. I say in a free country, people ought to have the right to discriminate. Government must not. The worst of American racism and homophobia, slavery, segregation enforced by Jim Crow, state bans on interracial marriage, anti-sodomy laws, and so forth, all that was government discrimination. That's wrong, and it was right for the federal government to intervene. But private actions are different. If I start a business with my own money, I ought to be allowed to serve only libertarians or people who wear blue shirts, whatever. It's my business. My customers have choices. If I'm racist or anti-gay, free market competition will punish me. Enough people will boycott my business and I'll lose money. Punishment from market competition is enough. More and more oppressive law is not needed here. In private life, we don't need religious freedom acts. It should just be part of the individual freedom that's part of being an American. That's what I think, but I'm losing this battle because freedom's constantly under threat. Let's look at one more religious freedom case. In Texas, the Lipan Apache tribe has celebrated its religion for thousands of years by conducting this ceremony. It includes wearing feathers, including eagle feathers. Then the government raided one of their powwows. An Interior Department official threatened to arrest the tribe's pastor if he didn't allow him to go into the circle and confiscate the feathers. The government took the feathers and threatened the pastor with 15 years in jail because he didn't have a permit for the eagle feathers. The pastor, Robert Soto, joins us now. Really?
15 years. That's what I was told.
And so you could fight them, but it would bankrupt the tribe, I assume. But Beckett took your case for nothing. And what's happened?
Agents came into Pastor Soto's family powwow, and they asked around, they took some people out of the circle, and they confiscated his eagle feathers.
You're not killing eagles to get these feathers, right?
No, we don't believe in killing eagles because the eagle's a sacred bird.
And also, for the record, eagles are not endangered anymore.
No, they're not.
There are 69,000 of them.
The eagles became something that we consider sacred. And not so much that we worship the eagle, but that we took the feather and used it for ceremonies, like in the circle. And so basically, the government sent agents into our powwow, basically to destroy our spirituality.
And these undercover agents show up. I assume, what was your reaction? Like, what the?
Yeah, it surprised us all because it was a family powwow, it was family gathering. We've been doing these for years, for 30, 40 years, maybe even longer. But to have an agent dressed like a tourist, several maybe, we don't know, take pictures, document everything everybody was wearing.
Why do they care so much? It's not like the eagle's endangered or that you're killing them.
I think it all goes back to our spirituality because in our culture, whoever controls the feather controls the person.
They want to control you by taking your feathers?
Well, a lot of people don't realize that Native people are not as free as we think we are because of the unfair laws that they have established to govern our, not just our spirituality, but govern everything we are as Native people.
Your case, at least, has sort of a happy ending that we can report on. After 9 years of litigation, the government finally returned the confiscated eagle feathers. A government official pompously read the list of evidence he was returning.
A bustle containing 44 golden eagle feathers with their quills wrapped in navy blue.
So happy ending?
Well, it's kind of bittersweet. I was glad to see our feathers after 9 years of being locked up in a box in somebody's closet. But the problem is we got our eagle feathers with all these restrictions. I'm the only one that can use these feathers. Nobody can borrow them. I
You had to bring the permit with you to fly
you
them
had to
here?
carry this permit in case I'm stopped. At least it says that these belong to me and that I have permission by the federal government to carry these feathers. When I die, for example, nobody can inherit these feathers. They're going to probably be, somebody's going to be knocking on our door and taking them back to the government.
Do you ever think that our government has become power mad and almost insane?